said tonight. I don't have a job to find, and if I work tonight, I'm so tired tonight. I fall asleep when I'm home, if I bleed tonight, if I am sad tonight, I don't have a job to find. And if I work tonight, if I'm so tired tonight, I'll fall asleep when I'm home, when I'm home. I was just so far from here, focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there was nothing you said that could make me realize I'm a
Introducing GForceTV. GForceTV.net is your new source for action overload. Featuring free live programming year-round and countless hours of on-demand video, GForceTV will be your first stop whenever you want to see the latest and hottest racing action. See live Friday Night Excitement weekly from Washouican Speedway, and watch the stars of tomorrow make a name for themselves during Thursday night's live microsprint racing. GForceTV is also the new home for Rivals Race Chat. Watch weekly as Clinton Jeffrey and Adam Ross discuss all the hot topics in the world of motorsports. For iRacing fans, GForceTV has you covered with hours of live broadcasting from Rivals and GForceTV racing leagues. GForceTV promises to deliver motorsports, esports, and action sports you want to see, along with talk shows and vlogs to keep you connected to the lifestyle you love. Visit GForceTV.net today to subscribe for free. Sit back, hold on, and feel the G's on GForceTV.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was
still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Hi, good evening, folks. Welcome. We're here live tonight here with the G-Force Racing League here, Daytona International Speedway. And I tell you what, I call this place the epicenter of all things motorsports because this is where the season begins. And, well, it'd be kind of cool if it was the season end, too, but this is where everything begins. You got the 24 hours of Daytona that happens here. You got the Daytona 500 that happens here, 2.4 hours. A lot of great racing that happens around here. But tonight, we got the G-Force Racing League. These guys with the Cup cars back at it again here tonight. Ready to get set, Doug. It's going to be an exciting one.
Sure is. The Southern Patio Enclosure Series rolls on here tonight. SPGC3D, the sponsor for tonight's races in division. You and I were watching some of the qualifying that took place here. What's that? And, of course, looking at our grid, Tread for Straight and fastest in this one at 48.646. I mean, looking at the times here, boy, there is not a lot of distance from first back to 21st, just a little over 0.2 of seconds. So the cars are very even here tonight at what Joe calls the epicenter of speed, but it is. This is where everything starts over the course of the season. Every year they start with the big road course race on the road course, and then, of course, Daytona, Volusia, all the other tracks in Florida. Kind of reminds me of February, and here we are closing out the summer at Daytona tonight.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, it's a good one. They race here twice a season, and they just had one of the NASCAR races here to end the regular season with it, so switched it up just a little bit. But these guys tonight, they're going to go 2x2, a nose-to-tail style racing. It's going to be intense, and a lot of the drivers here tonight, really, you know, a lot of the and I get a lot of flack, we'll say it that way, is for saying this on this track. And the only reason I say it for a track like here is because I have seen so many different ways to win here. I've seen guys win from the pole. I've seen guys win from the back. I've seen guys win on pit road 2 laps down and come out and win this race. So wow. Qualifying here, not to say it's not important, but you can't. And now this is a 30-lap shootout race, but in a longer style, let's say 80, 100-lap race, strategy plays a big issue here. You'll see a lot of guys maybe drop to the back to avoid the big one, because you usually say it's not if, it's when the big one happens, and so forth and so on. But you also have got, you know, I go back to that word, it's not a skill-based track. And when I say that, a lot of people are like, oh, you mean, Joe, you got to have this. Well, a lot of luck is involved at this place. You've got to know when to put the car at the right place at the right time, and sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You're kind of just stuck where you are, and you're going to have to commit to pushing the guy either to the win or to the lead, and so forth and so on, as we might see towards the end. As the pace car's off, getting set to go green flag racing here tonight. Daytona style green flag flies, and one thing you do not want to do is they already jacked the field up in the back. And they're already wrecking back there. What I'm about to say is what Trent didn't want to do up there as yellow flag flies, is you did not want to jump too far out in front of the leader there. And let's go back here on this replay and see, because it looked like they kind of upset the start there, and they kind of have accordion effect. The next thing you know, you got a bunch of cars just barreling into each other here. Was watching that one kind of live as it happened. But we'll watch it again here on the replay. And you can see it looks like with the 0736 machine right there was one of them. Barry Goldner, yeah, just got turned around. Next thing you know, from there, cars all over the place. And again, it's kind of how it can happen here. I mean, it's just one of these tracks.
No, what you were saying, that's a perfect example of what it is. You could be riding along, minding your own business. Next thing you know, something happens 3, 4, 5 rows ahead of you, and bam, you're in it. Because of these speeds and the fact that you're floored most of the way around the racetrack, there's just nothing you can do sometimes. That's simple. That's Daytona. It's not when. It's not if, it's when.
It's usually, yeah, that's our old saying, kind of that like that, because like I said, I mean, that's usually what happens. It's not usually if, it's when.
And you told me that because I was curious, because there's Legacy Daytona and Daytona. You were telling me, Joe, that Legacy Daytona is a little different. That's the old Daytona?
It is the old Daytona, and the reason they call it the old Daytona is before the repave back in the day. They repaved Daytona, and obviously it's a lot more smoother.
10 years ago, maybe, right?
It might have been. I'm not 100% sure how long it's been. iRacing rescanned it. They've had it scanned for a while. It's been a couple years now since they put it on iRacing. But that's the biggest difference. This place is just the old one. It's a lot more bumpier down low. You'll see it from the cars and so forth. You'll see these cars will have to deal with the bumps in the bottom side of the track, and that's just the biggest difference. Really, the layout's the same. How the track is, everything's the same. It's just bumpier.
Well, I like to look back at some of the old races that they run, and it seemed to me, and it was 2011, by the way, Joe. I just looked it up when we did the repave. It seemed to me like back in the old Daytona, it was more single file than it was the 3 wide like we see today. So I'm curious if that's something that plays out here.
What's that?
I noticed the old Daytona, it tended to be more one groove, not 2 and 3 wide.
Well, here's another interesting thing, and back in the day when the old Daytona was here, you had the older style Cup cars, which when I say older Cup cars, I'm talking about pre-2019. So it's really not that old of the Cup cars, but it's the 2019 package that actually brought about. And we talked about this the other night when we talked at Charlotte about what the package is on the Cup car. They have a massive, obviously there's a plate track, so they do have a plate, which it's kind of misleading now because they don't call it a plate, they call it a spacer. But I just couldn't see them saying, well, now we're at spacer tracks, right. Plate just works a little.
The same purpose.
It does. It really does. And it cuts down the horsepower, puts them down about 455. But I think it's between 455, 50, somewhere in that area. Not 100% sure. But the package is what's the biggest thing. The aero package that they have throughout, it's the same one they have through the whole season. Obviously, you see the big spoiler out there, which runs huge. about the big ones, the splitters, the side skirts, et cetera, which is attributes to downforce. Now, when I say the old Cup car, I'm not meaning way back in 2000 like what the K&N car is on iRacing. I'm talking about pre-2019 package. Really, they're the same cars, but just does not have the aero package. And what that alluded to is obviously they still had plates. They still were only 550 horses. They still were restricted to horsepower, but they did not have the restrictions of that spoiler and all, so they had the less downforce. And what had happened is it didn't allow these cars to pass at all. They would just pretty much a single file. Unless you came out here on iRacing and made a custom setup to allow it to do that, the fixed setup here on iRacing, you were pretty much, unless you had about, I'm going to say roughly 4 or 5 cars get a freight train move on the outside, you're pretty much single file on the inside because you can't pass below the yellow line, right? And all that stuff is one of the rules in NASCARs here, plate tracks. But that is the biggest thing you will see with this package is it allows these cars now to get on the outside, run side by side, 2x2, you're still going to need help. I mean, if one car could get up there, maybe side draft a little bit, he might be able to hold on the outside for maybe a lap or two or a couple laps. After a while, though, if he doesn't have help, he's going to drop back in a heartbeat. It's still draft-oriented. You still got to have the aero here and everything. As pace cars in, as we're going back racing here tonight. Trent, man, out front with Joe Dowsey. We get a little better lead. Now, one thing that Trent just did right there, Doug, you really just don't want to do. Watch this pack. If they can get formed up back there now, that's another thing. And bump drafting, you just saw it right there, wrecking again. And we just saw that live. I know I'm talking a lot here, but we just kind of saw that live right there, Doug. Bump drafting and the trial. Why the trial? Now, let me go back. Also, I got to give a shout out to Southern Patio Enclosures, and Tom Taylor and his the 3D printing out there. Those guys do great work because we're here for that. Tonight, those are our title sponsors. Let me throw out here. We've been throwing it out here too. These guys are dirt racers, so they're kind of new.
Primarily, yes.
Primarily, they're kind of new to the Cup, car, and you throw them on a plate track that pretty much are just wide open. Could be chaos.
I got to say, I was watching the South Boston race earlier, and I thought they did a really nice job at South Boston. And you were talking a little bit about our friend Tom Taylor there. He sent me a video the other day of how these things work. The nice thing is, he's primarily the oil and gas industry is his big thing, but you wouldn't believe the stuff that they make. And it's just amazing the work that they do over there. Check them out. SBGC 3D, Small Business Game Changers 3D Printing. Talk to Tom, whatever you got, he can make it for you. The other thing I was wondering too, Joe, was we were talking about pre-2019. I'm wondering about like the 80s and 90s when we had actual stock cars, with templates identical to street cars, not these late models like basically the Cup cars that become. I wonder, they didn't seem as aerodynamic, and I think maybe that's why we saw more single file racing back then.
Okay. Well, and true, and obviously, without getting too technical in the form of the cars and stuff, they do have the 87 car, the Monte Carlo and the Thunderbird. They just released that here. And, I came from Error. Now, you're talking about an unplated car that can reach 220 mile an hour easily on a track like this. Easy. Obviously, the record held by Bill Elliott at Talladega for qualifying that has not been broke since to this day.
Oh, they said this isn't happening again when they saw that number.
212 mile an hour. Yeah, he laid that time down. There has been, it's not official recorded times, but there's been recorded times as he's taking cars around at 230 mile an hour at Talladega.
Wow.
That's getting a lot faster and very dangerous for a lot of those cars. Now, but
remember, they started lifting off the ground. Remember that, Joe? They spin and become like a piece of paper in the wind.
Well, there's no, and with those cars, obviously, more of a full-bodied car. They didn't have the aerodynamics of a lot of the cars nowadays. They didn't have the spoilers that they do now. They didn't have a lot of the stuff and the tech that they do now. But yes, on those cars, with the 87 Cup cars, they have redone them here on iRacing, and just here recently in the last couple builds they have, and brought them out. And one of the biggest things is with those cars is draft did play a factor in them, but you didn't see them tucked up behind each other a lot. Usually you saw the slingshot. You would see them maybe 3 and 4 car lengths back drafting, and the next thing the car behind them would get a run and just soon run by them. That was a lot of what you've seen in there because horsepower played the key factor back then. It was run what you brung, basically, how racing should be. But, without a lot of the aerodynamics, because these cars here, if you crinkle the fender on the front, I'm not saying you're dead in the water, but you're going to have to be a little more strategic there, Doug, on it, because let's say you mess up the front end of the car. If you tuck behind someone, and you know how air works, if you tuck behind them, the air is going to flow around the side and over the top of the car, and it won't affect the front end. But as soon as you duck to the outside, what's going to happen is it's going to be like a brick wall, and that thing's just going to hit it and go boom. Maybe you'd be just like a Mack truck. Now, with that said, Looks like we're going to go back green here shortly. But with that said, it does not take passing the car to win. I've said this a million times, the guy on the outside, because I've seen some guys with hurt cars win on the outside and have help, because it only takes you just getting the nose in front of the other guy, and that's all it takes across the line. And many a times, that's one exciting thing about plate racing is you have some exciting finishes usually here. Hopefully tonight it will be. Well, let's see here as the pace car is coming around. Going to drop off on pit road. Now, what I said before they kind of bunched it up, Trent jumped out there really huge. And the reason I was going to bring that up, obviously one car is not as fast as two, three, and four.
Three, or four,
yeah.
Yes.
And if Trent keeps doing that, and these guys back here kind of, if they can get everything worked out, the kinks, on
and that's
start.
the big gift right there, Joey. They've got to stay in line and catch them. And takes discipline. And the other thing you were talking about, you see guys come from the pits. I noticed, I couldn't tell which cars they were from the angle, but it would look like it's about third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. A whole bunch of people came down pit road right after that yellow came out.
And probably came down to get some tires. Tires are not a huge factor here. You could obviously go. Sometimes you could go two or so pit stops. You could go the whole entire race without putting tires on. Really will not harm you as we go back green here. And Trent didn't get a good jump.
Green flag laps, Joe. We haven't had a green flag lap yet.
Yeah, well, true.
They're still pretty fresh.
Now, right there, Trent, you see him on the inside. He has no help. Watch the top two cars. They're just going to freight train right by him on the outside as they're going to have the draft right there. And unless Trent gets some help down low, he's just going to be a sitting duck. Now, he might be able to stay there for a little bit. Let's see what the 00 wants to do down low.
That's Tanner Von Doren, the 000, who's on the outside. Interesting there, he started 22nd, so he must have driven through a couple of wrecks and gotten through there cleanly to be able to have a shot at the lead. Barker leads, Von Doren on the outside as it's zeros up front.
Absolutely. Jeff Man drops down low right there on the inside. He's going to help out Trent just a little bit. Now you can see the 2 and 3 cars right behind them. Preston Cranmer, Joe Dow coming up there. They're going to take it 3 wide. You can do that here. You can take 3 and 4 wide at this track. That's what I'm saying. This is where your drag race comes. And just like that is how some of the finishes end. These guys going 2, 3 wide. But, man, I tell you what, already bumping and running up front as the 00's in trouble.
Give them all a lot of credit right there. There was a lot of shuffling around. Everybody kept the thing pointed to the front. Trent Verstappen leads. Barker is second. Guy with a pretty good pedigree out there, Tanner Von Doren, is out there along with Preston Cranmer.
Absolutely. 9 car gets a little tag. Joe Dow right there. It's his 79 machine there. Andrew Smith gets a run up top. Has to let out of it because the 313 thought about 513. Jeffrey Barker there. That slowed down the momentum of the outside a little bit. You can see these cars bouncing around. That's one of the things that they will do. Now, you can also tell the biggest thing about this race right now is you see a lot of guys just trying to get to the front. This is more of they're going around. That's Jeffrey Barker and company. They got together. Right before I was about to say that, Andrew Smith, we was just watching that live there, Doug. What I was going to say beforehand, you're going to see more pressure here because it's only a 30-lap style shootout race as opposed to an 80-100 lap where these guys are going to be a little bit more patient at the beginning. And now, my famous words, you don't get to hear them a lot in dirt side of things, but I usually say them a lot. Usually on a 1.5 mile track, 20 to go, I say business is about to pick up, run what you brung. Here on the plate track, it's usually about 10 less to go because 20 to go is still a long time around this place. It's 2.5 miles around here. The speeds at this track, in a draft, I'm not sure if they're still running with this package. They might top 200. A lot of the speeds are down to 192. 194 and somewhere in that area. It's dropped drastically over the years, especially with the package they've had. So, but these guys are, again, I want to reiterate, most of them are dirt track racers. A lot of them don't venture too much on the oval side. It's a new thing for them. So, don't folks, if you're out there watching, don't what's the word I'm looking for? Criticize them for seeing what you're seeing out on the track right now because it's not a representation of the league or anything. This is a special, Super Cups series shootout here that they're having, throwback style, and it's kind of cool that we're mixing it up a little bit here on the GeForce Racing League. check us out here on GeForce TV on YouTube. Check us out on ONSR Network also. I appreciate those guys out there. Definitely want to give a shout out to Oswegan Stream Team, Oswegan Speedway, obviously Southern Patio Enclosures, and 3D Gaming. 3D printing, is it 3D printing and gaming?
Small Business Game Changers 3D printing.
Okay. I've got the 3D printing part. I need to remember the small business. Tom, if you're listening out there, I know you said you're going to be racing, man. Don't
Tom's
beat me
out
up
there
on me too
racing.
much.
He's in 20th place right now.
Yeah, he said he was. Well, actually, he's on pit road. I think he got caught up on one of those wrecks, unfortunately. Man, I hate that. Okay. But I'm going to tell you what. He sent me a thing. He sent you a video, too. He showed me one of his printers.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I've seen some 3D printers work in the past. I've seen what you can do with them. You can do an absolute amount of awesome stuff with them. And he is making a 3D print of the Coda track. And he's going to send me one. And I'm going to put that on my wall over here because that'll be kind of good showpiece.
Hey, you were wondering about speed? I was looking it up while you were going there.
All right.
48 seconds, 48.62 is 185. Is the average.
So a little bit slower, but I mean, if they was to get out there and maybe run in a time, we haven't really seen them get into a pack run and really kind of get settled down a little bit. They might be able to top in the 190s. I knew the speeds were a little bit less than what they obviously used to be in the past, but but again, those 47 seconds, 48 seconds, about normal time around this place. It is a huge track. Now, I do commend iRacing because I'm going to tell you what, Doug, cautions here. They actually took some caution laps away. It used to take almost upwards about 10 minutes to do a caution around this place.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, it's all about opening up the pits and then closing the pits. Because you got to get them in order first, and then because the pit lane doesn't open up right away, so it does.
And if somebody pits too, I don't know if you know this or not. If let's say the pit lane opens, the actual cautions could go maybe a lap or so quicker if nobody pits. But if somebody pits, obviously, like you just said, they got to wait for that person to get out. It takes another lap around, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always just one of those things.
Usually, it's about right. So, and of course, remember what we were saying about 185, that's an average speed. So if you're dead in the straightaways, I'm sure pretty darn close to 200 is probably about right.
Well, the draft plays a huge, again, we go back to that draft, playing a huge factor. I've seen a multitude of races here broadcasting at Daytona. And hopefully these guys maybe, again, here, I don't know how to really say it on the thing. If you're not familiar with a lot of driving it, and you're getting that run on the guy in front, an instinct tells you as a racer, go around him. Sometimes
pull around and do it. Yeah.
Sometimes at a track like this, though, it's better not to. It's better to patience. That's right. Bail back a little bit, like we was talking about. Drag that brake, ride behind him, and that is a hard discipline to do. Patience as a race driver, and I know. But then again, you've got to couple that with this is more like a shootout style race. It's not really a longer style race that I'm used to seeing, and well, maybe some of these guys are used to seeing. And coming from dirt, they're used to this. I gotta go.
Yeah,
because it's fast.
It's true. And out of all the tracks out there, this one is probably the one that you really do not want to be in the lead coming in for the white.
You really don't, unless you've got somebody you really trust behind you and knows going to push. And if they get like they are right now, we're going back here green, you can see the pace car drop off. Let's say they're coming to the line like they are now. That car on the inside right behind the leader, there's nowhere for him to go. He's pretty much going to be stuck. And right now is not really what the top three want unless they can get lined up together, because that pack back there in the back, well enough, if they can get hooked up, should run them down. Rob Shaw and company with G.J. Boydell should be able to run them down. But you do see Preston Kramer, I mean, obviously, man knows what he's doing there. Got tucked up behind him. Yeah, so those two cars, if they would have stayed side by side for a long period of time, but now it's all going to depend on what Joe does.
Yeah, Joe's got to get a line if they want to pull away. Otherwise, here they come. Look, here comes the pack on them right now.
Absolutely, and those 3 cars, by getting single file like they did, is going to slow the pack down a whole lot. You can see Steve Shaw's right there, Kyle Parker's in the mix, and Parker's around, and he's trying to hang on to. He's in the wall. Not going to happen as he gets destroyed.
No yellow out yet, though. They are still racing.
And the only reason there isn't a yellow there, Doug, is because at Daytona on iRacing, a lot of times if you're off the race surface far enough, we'll not throw a yellow here. So this is one of the tracks where you have that option. But up front, side by side, 2x2 coming to the line here. You see Rob Shaw's got the outside rolling. Steve Shaw Jr. there, the backstretch into 3. You got 3 cars high, 4 cars low. They're going 3 wide, heading into 3.
And give a lot of credit to Rob Shaw. He was 4th. Remember, he was the first car in that group behind the top 3. So he was able to make his way up there as we've got somebody spinning. I think that's
Steve Goldner.
Goldner in the 30.
He's around, yellow flag. Yep.
But now that was nice discipline by Rob Shaw there. You know, wait until they caught that group and then find a way to get through. So he might be happy about that yellow.
And they are, yeah, absolutely. That probably saved him because that pack would have came storming by him before it was over with, and it went a lap down. So obviously that definitely helped him. Absolutely. One thing I am seeing about it out here is, I mean, the cars are jumping around. These guys out here just, patience is the biggest thing. Not taking anything away. All these guys, great drivers out here. I just go back to allude to again that, the dirt track mentality, bringing it over here on a shootout style race if it would be any other racetrack, let's say like we were at Charlotte when we were the other week, it would be a little bit different because you could spread out a little more. Here you're on top of each other, and when that bumping is plus with the speed jar, and with these cars being so unstable too, a lot of times that bumping just don't work all the time.
And it takes a lot of skill to not just be the car to bump from behind, but also be the one from front who feels that bump and somehow does it, whoa, and get sliding around. So it takes 2 very good drivers to do it right.
Yes, it does. So good run so far between all these guys. I got 18 to go here tonight as we're looking like shooting it out here. Roger Craig out and about here tonight. He's not here, so definitely want to go. I know they had some good news this week. Go check them out there on GForceRL.com, and got a new league coming out that they've collaborated with. So definitely going to be a good one here tonight.
Remember our sponsor for tonight, Small Business Game Changers 3D Printing. The easy way to remember, Small Business Game Changer. Everybody wants to change their business, get a little bit better. Look them up, SBGC3D.com. Whatever your dream is, if you've got it, you got somebody designing on a CAD program, they can do it for you.
Absolutely. So we're getting set here to run around here on Daytona International Speedway here tonight. The GeForce Racing League. What's that?
I could have watched that thing. You saw the same video I did, right? Where he was printing out that overhead view of Coda. I could just, that thing is hypnotizing to watch, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, I could have sat there and watched that thing for an hour. So, big shout out to Tom and everybody. So we'll have, let me see, are the lights off? No, they are not yet. So
probably another lap or so, yep. Rob Shaw, the man out front, he's going to hope he can hang on to it, which, now, I can tell a lot of these guys don't run oval, and how you can tell that is obviously, and just to give you a heads up for people out there that don't know or new to watching, appreciate everybody joining in.
Yeah,
they have what they call iRating licenses and stuff, and I can already see, I don't know if Doug can see it on his end, but I can see it on my end. There's 1, 2, 3 A-class licenses, which means they've gotten to the Cup car license level on the official or iRace, which would be Jeffrey Barker, obviously Aiden Young, and Michael Reddy. I've talked about them before. Everyone else, and there's a couple of them out here that are still in the rookie class.
Really? Well, how will the ratings work? There's A and then what?
It's A, B, C, D. Goes down.
But
rookie? It goes from rookie to D.
Rookie to D.
Yeah,
Then it's
rookie
K&N.
DCBA. And the D class is more like your K&N stuff. Then you go to the C class, you get in the trucks. B is the Xfinity. A is obviously the top tier with the cup cars and all, which doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't signal that a person's bad. It's just that they just don't run the oval side of things a lot. That's really kind of what it looks like. I mean, obviously, if they're still in rookie class on oval, they just don't touch the oval side a lot. I mean,
Well,
they
the thing
stick
is,
to the dirt.
you almost got to be a specialist in today's world to some degree. I mean, Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt, that was a long time ago when guys would run asphalt and dirt. I mean, a lot of the dirt tracks, guys would just switch the tires, run dirt on Friday night, run asphalt on Saturday. That is not the world we live in today.
No, it is not. I mean, you do see a lot of transfer over, and it's very rare. Most notably, though, you don't see a lot of, I don't want to say you don't see a lot of dirt track racers head in over to oval, but yeah, because a lot of them start from dirt, because that is the grassroots and so forth, where a lot of, your Saturday night racing comes from. But you do see a lot of your open wheeled and so forth that come up through and the asphalt's back green. We'll see what happens up front. And Trent, boy, he gets a jump out there, and again, that's a dangerous move, what he is, because, well, and now he's just going to mess up, because one thing he shouldn't have done is let off the throttle like he did. And what I tell you earlier about losing that momentum.
It's true. But with everything going on around you, too, I can see how you might, take that little run out front just to, get out of the way, of anything that happens off the start. How about Dennis Stonebreaker? He's up front. He did not even get any practice. He went right to qualifying here today, and he's got that 27 out front looking pretty strong, although here comes Rob Shaw right back to retake the lead on the bottom. This is some good racing right here.
Absolutely. Rob Shaw, he tucks down the inside. Now, this showed you right there kind of that mentality of wanting to show you these guys, when they get that run, they instantly want to just go for the pass. And you saw him out front try that as everybody's kind of 2x2 right now. Looks like Jack Hitt's up top with a 96, or excuse me, Stephen Shaw's up top with a 96, 3 wide, 513. Jeffrey Barker going to try to make it a middle. No, he's going to hit, and he's going to be able to hang on to it.
No, he didn't. Somebody else took a trip down to the infield. But I notice where Stonebreaker is. Now he's back in 6th place. So it's easy to be out front. It's a lot harder to stay there.
It is, especially with, how can I say it, with the way the guys are wanting to jump around. Right now, the biggest thing is working together. You have got to have some guys that were willing to work together. Now, when I say that, let me go on top here to the nose view and show you the biggest difference with this 87 car. The reason why they're jumping around so much. Let's ride on board here with Steven Goldner for a second as he head off into turn 1. He is right there on the outside. When he heads off into that turn, watch this car just bounce and bounce and bounce, because there are so many bumps there. And it jerks that car around, especially with the air that he's feeling on the backside of the spoiler there of Steve Shaw out front, as he tries to tag along with him. But that's another thing these guys are having to deal with. Now, he's got damage to the nose of that car. Once he goes out front, if he stays tucked up behind, he should be pretty good. The problem is he's going to lose his dancing partner, as old Steve Shaw decides he's going to go low.
And you notice, too, I don't know if you're watching with a 3-monitor setup, but you can see the 519 right up there underneath him. And when he was right behind the 96 there coming down of Shaw, you could see he had to lift a couple times on the straightaway, because, like you said, you get in that draft and there's nothing you can do. But, boy, he's done a nice job. Just drove himself right to the lead.
And I can see right now, a lot of these guys, man, they just got that mentality. Just got to be patient up there. Ryan Beagle got the machine rolling pretty good in the 84 up top, being patient as he can, as he's holding on. 3 cars top side, 3 cars down low, 2 in the back side down there, looking 3 wide, coming down into turn number 3 for the moment. Little bump draft. I want to do that in the turn. Definitely dangerous move there, but they still side by side.
And the thing is, too, you're talking about when to get aggressive. It's 23 laps now. So if a caution comes out in the next 2, you may get down to that green-white checkered. So why not make a move here and try something, as we saw the 96 get himself in a little bit of trouble right there, as Shaw no longer has the lead. 3 wide up front, the Beagle-mobile on the outside.
Yeah, it is. The problem with trying to be aggressive here is if you don't want to make that move too soon. See, that's the biggest event or biggest disadvantage here with the plate track style race. That's why you see them done a lot of times out of turn 3 and 4 of the final lap, because it just don't take that much. Again, I go back to, you don't have to pass the car. You just got to get your nose in front of him, and all that takes is just a little bit of shove to the top side. You got Rob Shaw coming up there. He's going to see if he can't get a side draft. You got the 217 there, Jack Hitt behind him. 2 cars up front, Ryan Beagle's leading it. Steve Goldner right there, right behind him for the moment. They're staying single file. You still got the 518 there, Rob Shaw up top.
And Goldner, he was right out front there a moment ago, but now he's following the 84 of Beagle as they try to make their way to the front. I mean, I don't know about you, Joe. This is pretty good racing with this bunch here. We got just 6 cars now in that front group. We lost a couple here in the last lap or 2.
Settle down just a little bit. I call it textbook draft, and what you see right there, you see about a car length or about a hood between each car. Reason is you don't want to overheat these machines. You can. Now, obviously, on the last lap, you're going to put that thing on the back bumper of them and say you don't care. Blow it sky high. Ryan Beagle up front's got pushed by Stephen Goldner behind him. The 5 at 19 of Rob Shaw still up high. He needs a little help because he's got Jack Hitt. What I said earlier, that top car's going to, he might be able to stay up out for a little bit, but after a while, going to need it. And he hooks Jack Hitt. Hits upside down.
Big flip on the front stretch. Caution coming out with 5 laps to go, and Beagle in front. Boy, do you notice how tight Goldner was to his back bumper, too? He was right there.
That's going to put us in essentially a green-white checkered before we get back in the green here. Ryan Beagle and company up front. Now, Ryan Beagle definitely is being very, very cautious, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Beagle, Goldner, Stonebreaker, who started 19th. Remember, Goldner started in 18th, too. Joe Dowd back and forth. Aiden Young's gone 23rd to 5th. So a lot of moving around with the wrecks, the cautions, and the way things shake out. Typical Daytona.
Absolutely. So a lot of side-by-side, 2x2 style racing here, nose to tail. Tonight here for the GForce Racing League. So we've got our Super Cup Series here tonight. I appreciate our title sponsor out there, Southern Patio Enclosures. They do an outstanding job. Tom Taylor out there. No, he's watching.
He's in the race. He's watching a whole different end. But this is a Southern Patio Enclosures. This, you're sitting there going, well, I don't really need a sunroom. But for businesses, stuff like that, that's not exactly what they do. They can use clear vinyl or sunshade materials to complement your enclosure, get the most out of your outdoor space. And you can also do it yourself. A lot of their products are easy to install. SouthernPatioEnclosures.com.
Absolutely. What's up, John? How you doing out there, man? I tell you what, it's a good one. It's Daytona. About set to close this one out here to GForce Racing, and changed over one of my software, so I know we're actually on the. I usually not on my actual channel too, so that's why John jumped over on there. But check us out on GForceTV on YouTube. Those guys do an outstanding job. They actually over there had a real race going on earlier, and they do a lot of that. A Sweek Stream team does a lot of that stuff for them. Appreciate them guys coming on board. Got to give a shout out too, man. Check out the Pit Stop Insider there. They have it's a podcast, and it's over on the GForce Racing League. It's kind of cool. I was watching some of it. Saw Bill Codner on there the other day, and I've talked to him before. Really, really cool. I saw the video that he finally got to go to a dirt track, and I watched it, and the first thing, I've never been to a dirt track, but I've been to a multitude of drag races, and I used to drag race, and I remember, and the first thing that caught me when they did the heats in the cars was I said, I missed that sound and smell of those engines, because it's ground pounding, because you could get as close as he was to those sprint cars, you could get that close to the drag cars at the tracks. And if you've never heard a 3,000 horsepower Pro Mod, not just one but two, take off from the line, holy cow, wow.
You might be able to sit that